So yes, we are the Lone Star State, and we have bluebonnets everywhere, and we cover 2 time zones as well. We have a lot of initiatives here around college and career readiness and college and career advising, which is really sort of like the result of why we have the Texas OnCourse Academy, which started in sort of like around, I want to say 2016. So we've done a lot to update the Texas OnCourse Academy. It was created by counselors in Texas, counselors and advisors. All of the content was created by counselors and advisors, and it has been through a couple of different iterations, and it's a really great online learning platform that we are sharing with more and more states as we build it. So if you want to pop to the next one, Andrea, we're going to go over the full academy. My name's Laura Guggen, and I'm the Director of Program Implementation. Again, I'm really sorry I'm not on camera, but y'all can feel free to send me an email or connect with me on LinkedIn or through our website. We'll be, in close contact with the team that's, just implementing the academy. And our team works with all of our out-of-state partners as well as all of the school districts in Texas. We actually have 1,200 school districts in Texas. So our team, the program implementation team, connects with all those districts, and we actually have a fellowship program with 20 districts across like 20 different regions. So we're like the school people. We connect with all the school counselors and educators and teachers as well. So I'll kick it over to Andrea, and she can introduce herself.
Yes, thank you, Laura. My name is Andrea Panter, and I'm a professional development coordinator here at Texas OnCourse. I started my education career a little over 15 years ago, wearing multiple different hats, as you all know we do. And I recently started working, well, I guess it's been a year now at Texas OnCourse. And we have Isaiah behind the scenes dropping links in the chat. Thank you, Isaiah.
So we really have a mission to simplify the college and career planning process here in Texas and in other states as well. So we've created digital tools, of course. So the Academy for Counselors and Advisors in your state is free to you to use. You don't have to pay for it at all as a practitioner. We try to make our information really easy to digest. We know some folks are just logging on, and this might be their first year as a college and career counselor, and it might be your 20th year as a high school counselor. But as you all know, everything changes. So we try to make it really, really simple for educators to do online learning with us through the Academy. So that's where our educator training is located, and you all have access to all of the information that is really just sort of not specific to Texas. So it's there, but we tried to highlight and like basically take our training today and highlight the things that you will want to know and you'll want to learn. We also have a lot of different resources. We do a lot of webinars and that sort of thing. And since you all are all a partner, you have access to all of those things, but we recognize that some of what we do is just Texas specific. And we're sort of in the process of creating a national academy that has some information for everyone, which is what you'll have access to. So we have a couple of objectives for today. The first one is to understand the structure of our academy, which is competency-based learning in the academy and what the learning objectives are in our learning modules. And there's over 25 of them that you'll find valuable. And then the second one is just to design your own learning path. Many of you have really different roles, and you can utilize the knowledge provided by the Academy differently based on your work with students, your capacity, your level of experience, and this is really driven by you. And so we have added in some things during this session to kind of allow for some flexibility so you can learn and dive into exactly what you'd like to know in the Academy.
Thank you, Laura. So I'm going to go ahead and kick us off with objective 1. As Laura mentioned, just understanding the structure of the Academy. And so we're going to just give you a brief overview of the Academy. We'll be sharing with you how to access the Academy. Hopefully some of you have already had a chance to log in and explore a little bit. If you haven't, that's okay. Hopefully you'll have some time through today's session or maybe later on. I'm going to talk about some of the different courses that we have and different modules that we offer, as well as how you can incorporate those courses and modules and the different learning tools into your specific planning. But before we dive into the Academy, I'd like to get a better understanding of some of the ways you are currently supporting students in post-secondary planning, as well as what are some college and career readiness that we use the acronym CCR, outcomes that you would like to improve. So thinking about those two questions, as we mentioned earlier, we're going to do a couple interactive activities. The first one being Slido. If you've never used Slido before, you can scan that QR code that's up on the screen, or you can go to slido.com and enter in the code 434328. And then go ahead and pop in there, what are some successful ways you support students in post-secondary planning? Great, these are awesome. Thank you guys so much for all this active participation. All right, we're going to keep moving forward. So the Texas OnCourse Academy presents the best of all worlds. Educators can pursue their learning independently, online, and in the time and place that works for them. So you'll hear us reiterate that over and over. It is an amazing online tool that you can access at any time, learn independently. You can start and stop these different modules, and also choose which ones are most specific and most valuable to you during the different time during the school year. So a little quick overview about the Texas OnCourse Academy. We offer online competency-based learning for you as educators. So there are over 25 modules covering career pathways, which a couple of those modules include foundational knowledge to learn strategies to help students explore careers and build a personal graduation plan aligned with their specific career aspirations, as well as some academic planning, learning strategies to help students and their families align their college goals, whether that's for a four-year high school or two-year community college, and thinking about their career interests, aptitudes, and skills. And then we also have our post-secondary pathways. And through there, a couple of those modules include just some basic fundamental knowledge to learn strategies to help students understand just the basics of choosing and preparing for what comes after high school, whatever that looks like for them, as well as admission and application process. We're going to talk more about the FAFSA here in a little bit, but learning strategies to help the students apply for college admission or enlist in the military, as well as things that are specific to our student athletes. And then also diving into financial aid, we have modules that cover how to apply for federal, state, or institutional financial aid, and address those eligibility requirements, as well as ways to track the applications, as well as college cost, and learning the different strategies to help students understand the different costs of attendance and different ways to cover college expenses, whether that's through grants or scholarships or different financial aid. And then we also have transition planning as well. And one of those modules covers how to help students, our kiddos with disabilities, to get ready for life after high school through career exploration and workforce preparation as well. So each of these modules takes about 30 to 60 minutes to complete. The great thing about them is that you can start and stop them at any time. So maybe you sit down and you're like, I've got an hour, I'm going to eat my lunch, I'm going to finish this module. And then it comes to somebody knocking on your door or something else comes up, totally fine. You can pick up right where you left off the next time you sign in. And then we also have an opportunity to earn professional development. And Jenny, if you want to talk a little bit about that.
So yeah, we're really excited about this. We've been working with NNU to be able to offer professional development credit for those of you who need to get that credit either for certification or possibly for movement on the pay scale. You can earn 1 professional development credit for completing 15 of the modules. And Andrea and Laura are going to talk a little bit more about the options. Like, you can pick and choose which modules you want to complete, but you will be able to get 1 credit for 15 of those modules. And there's really not a time limit. We're going to give you all the way through the end of next summer so that you can take as much time as you need to get those modules done. So again, if you don't want to get professional development credit, then you can do these modules completely. Like, these modules are free. So anybody who's going to access them, they are free. You do not need to pay for this account. The only thing you would pay for is if you want to sign up for the credit through NNU. And yesterday I did send out that NNU flyer that has the link to register. I'll send it again after today's webinar. But we just wanted you to be aware that there is that opportunity if you do want to earn credit.
Thank you, Jenny. And just for, if you haven't had a chance to visit our website, this is what it looks like, our landing page. And this is where you can go to find all of the amazing resources. Specifically, the Academy is located under the Educators tab. Right here, you'll just go over to Academy, and that's where you'll be able to register or log in. If you've already registered, it'll just automatically log you in. If you haven't had a chance to, it's really quick. You just put in your name, email, and it'll set you right up. And what it looks like when you get into the Academy, you can see just an example of what our dashboard looks like. And this is where you can personalize it, make it your own, save your own courses, whatever you want to do. And as you're navigating through the Academy, there's a couple different ways to find courses or modules that you're looking for. You can use the search tabs over here, as well as you can select the module directory right here as well. If you know a specific one that you're looking for, or you just want to peruse and see what we have, that's a good resource and good starting point for you to get going. And today we're going to highlight the financial aid application process. So within this course, you can find modules pertaining to the FAFSA and the CSS profile that are highlighted here. And we know many of our families have a lot of questions regarding financial aid and the FAFSA. So within these modules, we have several different resources and answers to a lot of those questions for our families. We're going to give you guys an opportunity to look at some of those questions and dive a little deeper into what these modules and courses look like. But just a broad overview, each module, the way that it's organized, it has an introduction, a pre-assessment, the units within that module, and throughout those units, it will ask you to test for mastery. It's just a question here or there to just check in, see how you're doing, as well as additional resources such as different PDFs, handouts, videos that are helpful, and some other slide decks that we've created, and all of the different references. So on the right-hand side, you can see what our FAFSA introduction page looks like. So that's just showing you our introduction to this particular module. And as you go in there, like I mentioned, all of them start with a pre-assessment, which I think is great. This one has 23 questions. Some of them have anywhere from 10 to, I think, 30. In between there, it ranges depending on the module. But as you go in, it's just kind of, you know, check yourself. What do I know about the FAFSA? What do I know about this specific module? And it'll give you answers at the end, whether you got them wrong or right, and let you know where you can look for those specific answers afterwards. So as you can see here, this is one question: which of the following are taken into consideration for determining students' eligibility? And this one was answered correctly, so you get 1 point. And then if it's incorrect, like I mentioned, down here, it'll show you where you can go find it. So which unit to go look in to find the correct answer. So we're going to do a little pop quiz, no pressure. This is just going to give you 5 questions from the FAFSA module pre-assessment. So like you guys noticed, there's 23 questions there. We're just going to go through 5 really quick. We're going to do this the same way with Slido. So once I go to the next screen, you can pop up that QR code. If you're already in there, it should still be operating as usual. You should already be able to join the quiz. And if not, you can go ahead and scan that QR code or put in the slido.com and the code again. Great job, guys. Whoa, everybody wins. Great job. Gold stars for everyone. So just a little bit more, as I mentioned, through each of these modules, we have some different sample supplemental resources, and we'll drop some of these in the chat or in the Q&A as well. But so for this one specifically, we go through the FAFSA checklist, the FSA ID worksheet. We have some videos that really talk you through different things for applying for the FAFSA, as well as some common questions that a lot of family members and students have. And so all of these are included within these modules. And we're also working on a quick start guide, creating for Idaho specific. So hopefully we'll have that out to you all next week. I'm going through the OnCourse Academy, and this is just showing you some of the financial aid modules and courses that we have, but just creating a non-Texas specific guide for you all to be able to use throughout the academy. And you'll be able to facilitate that into your planning that Laura is going to talk to you a little bit about here in a minute. But I wanted you all to know that this is also available as an app. So if you need access on your phone, the academy is there as well for a student, for a parent, for you as educators. It is also available in an app, and it looks just like it is online. So as you would register for the academy on your desktop, same thing that you would for on your mobile device. So that being said, we're going to switch gears over to objective 2, and Laura will take it away from here.
Great, thanks, Andrea. So yes, I think that it is always beneficial. It's kind of helpful to figure out, like, where do folks want to start? So this is kind of a way to design your own learning path, because there's 3 significant competency areas. We'll talk a little bit about what those are in the academy. And we kind of took a focus this morning in today's session to talk about financial aid. It is our most, I guess we see the most learning happen in the area of financial aid, but we also have a lot of great information in post-secondary planning. We'll talk about SAT and ACT in the college application process, as well as career pathways, because we have some strong career pathways, in every state, and they also really differ regionally. So we have a few resources to help you kind of decide where you'd like to start and kind of how you'd like to start using the academy. So designing your own learning, we have a worksheet that we pulled out, and it's really just kind of like a front and back, but here's an example of what that looks like here. So we get to see sort of like how you plan to use the knowledge that's provided in the academy. So if you just sort of take a minute and think about in your current role supporting students, which one of the following are you most interested in learning about? So of course, we have folks in here that focus on post-secondary planning. You might want to explore modules related to this particular content area. We have middle school educators that use the Academy, since we have some policies in our state around 7th and 8th graders receiving college and career information in middle school. So that might be relevant. I think most people here in the training are at high school level, but that's just there for you to share. Also, of course, financial aid. We have some middle school curriculum resources that also might be beneficial for you to use at the high school level as well. And then, of course, special populations. So some of you might have students that are highly mobile, as an example. Maybe you work very specifically on transition plans with your special education students in their ARDS, or what we call them ARDS here in Texas, but IEP meetings. So that just gives you an example of thinking about your role and what you might want to learn. So this just sort of helps. So one of the things that I think a lot of people do, and I've worked as a counselor in a couple of different states, not Idaho, but Texas, and also Colorado, and I'm originally from Ohio. So everybody's graduation plans are different, but you might look at, like, you might work with students on their course registration. That could, begin in spring semester. We have graduation plans. You may review career clusters and that sort of thing. So if you take a look at what's on the right, you might just want to identify what your plans are. We're just kicking off the school year. So if you want to connect it to a student activity or a lesson or a milestone that you have, y'all identified some really great events that you do, best practices. So you can think about the time of year and then look at, we'll share a syllabus as well. But just learning modules within the Academy and when you plan to complete those. And, as Andrea mentioned, they take anywhere from 30 to 60 minutes to complete. So it's really helpful to kind of give yourself a refresher. If you're going to go in and let's say you work with students, you've got a group of students that are going to start the Common App in a couple of weeks, because some of those deadlines come around pretty early. We cover the Common App resources. As you know, this information changes all the time. So we have a whole entire team dedicated to updating the information. So you can use that second part right there and identify your goals based on your student activities, what your goals are for designing your own learning, and then what skills you might hope to learn from the Academy. That's right there. So I know we don't have access to the chat. Isaiah, if you want to, let me see. I'm not exactly sure how, we're trying to make sure we get you the link, but for now, we will make sure you get this and immediately in follow up. So we'll share this worksheet with you.
Yeah, and I'll try and drop that in the Q&A
worksheet. So that'll help launch your Academy learning. So if you want to go down to the next slide, Andrea. So just a few things. Great. If the links are going through, that is wonderful. I just want to make sure. That's fantastic, because I think because I am joining through my browser, I see it a little differently. So apologies for the technical questions. A few other things. So one of the things that we've learned is, Texas is so big and we have so many districts. Some folks, especially during COVID, were trying to kind of, wrap their brains around doing an online learning experience, especially if you're not familiar with an online learning experience. My undergraduate and graduate degree, none of it was online. So some of this can be daunting. But if you do this with a group, or you decide to pair up with somebody at your campus, there's just some tips here on just supporting remote learning here on the left. making it meaningful, talking about it in a department meeting is great. Sharing it with your staff. Always, of course, creating like a welcoming climate that just shares what you've learned. So there's just a few ideas there on just supporting persistence in remote learning, understanding why this is helpful to students. So we've provided those ideas. And then if you wanted to go a step further, there's lots of information there on your staff sort of chatting with each other. A lot of these features are available. I don't know if you're in a district that uses Canvas, but the Texas OnCourse Academy is in the Canvas learning system. Some folks have used it and some have not. It just depends on your district and the tools that you use. But you can chat with each other on there and try some different things in Canvas as well as message each other. And there's also some links to just like, we have a blog, we have a YouTube channel where we put other webinars. We connect our resources and our handouts through Pinterest. And then we actually have a link that Isaiah just dropped in the chat that gives you like a full toolkit on doing professional development or launching professional development using the Academy with your group. And if you just want to do independent learning, that's okay. We just kind of wanted to provide you with more resources than you may need because this might look a little bit differently for you and your team. So this is one of my very, very, very favorite things that we've created. I think a lot of people here are in high schools. So one of the questions that we get a lot is, when should we be doing these sort of things, right? So we have put together a calendar if you are at the high school level. And I realize this is September 1st. So the things that we find that a lot of people though want to do learning in July and August before the school year gets really busy. But you can see there, you don't have to follow this calendar, but it's helpful based on when we know students do certain things based on deadlines, the overall counseling calendar that exists. So there's some things in there you'll see like in September. You can see our modules there. We can talk about, you might have some students do the CSS profile, for example. I didn't know anything about using the CSS profile until I had, a group of students and their parents diving in, which is like a whole other level of financial aid, as an example. But you can see here, the common application is listed there. Basic principles of financial aid, national merit scholarship. So we break it down basically July through May, and this is just a guide if you would like a timeline and you would like a guide to have to follow some online learning if that's what you choose. This is another really cool, I'm glad these are going in the chat. This is one of the most, I think, beneficial handouts. We've added to it along the way. So it's really 10 creative ways to use the Texas OnCourse Academy in your school. And there's some things on here that might be specific to Texas, but we decided to provide it to you just, anyway. We have a state application here called Apply Texas. That's the college application that our state schools use. But you can see here that economics teachers, as an example, can get involved in financial aid and even just learn some information about that, teaching college finances in some of those classes. We often find that our junior English teachers start some of the essay work with their juniors. So we also, library staff, you can see there on the right, this is like a front and a back one pager. Some information there on SAT and ACT. Also, when you get into scholarship season, there's some really great resources. Many of them are national and are not Texas specific. We have folks that are learning about helping students enlist in the military, which happens in every state. So we have some really great information on military academy applications and things like that. So all of the little blue geotags that you see on this handout are modules. Okay, so I know I'm kind of jumping around on the handout, but for example, your coaching staff. If you have coaching staff that helps out with, a lot of times that just happens in terms of like NCAA and NAIA eligibility centers. You can share this information with coaching staff because this information, of course, changes year to year. Everything really changed with COVID as well, just in terms of, lots of schools are test optional now. And eligibility requirements change from year to year, and so does financial aid. So we wanted to share that handout for you to have some ideas. So just an idea, we get this question a lot, especially with other states. So you want to, if you're thinking about how to increase your effectiveness and really improving results for your students, all states are different, but lots of folks have accountability measurements, or schools receive, here we call it the A through F accountability system. Also, we have campus improvement plans, we have district improvement plans. You can align this work with your district goals. A lot of times, sometimes counselors aren't in the regular PD schedule, if you all have like exchange days or professional development days. So you could share this information with your administrator to say, we've got some great online learning resources. If you could just give us a little bit of time or a half day, that's how this learning will align with our district goals or campus goals. You might also have statewide initiatives that are new. For example, the class of 2022 here in Texas, we just had a financial aid requirement. So all students had to complete a FAFSA, or a Texas application for student financial aid, or what's called an opt-out form. So we made that financial aid requirement statewide last year, which really gave us like an increase in financial aid applications of about 20%. So those are just some examples of how you can make this like results oriented for your staff and for your students. Oops. Yeah, so a lot of times we get questions on, if you love data and you love to know why anybody would be doing this. This is sort of like this is why digital learning works. So in order to kind of prove that what we do is effective and it's making an impact, here, and this is of course just in our state, but for counselors that completed all of our modules in the academy, that learning is associated with the same growth and knowledge as 11 to 30 years of experience. So essentially what that means is if you're new, or if you are wanting to just really amp up your skills in these areas, this will give you your knowledge that you acquire gives you growth and experience, growth and knowledge, as if you were gaining more experience in education. So they also report that their confidence doubles in their knowledge. So just, of course, feeling more confident in your help with students. I know when I was new to Texas and I didn't know their graduation plans and I had never gone to college here or helped a student with that process, this would have been really valuable information for me to have. So yeah, this is just kind of an example of, how digital learning works for your practice. I just wanted to address Tyler's question. Have counselors used this training as an evaluation tool when it comes to PLP goals? I'm not exactly sure what PLP goals are, but we do get questions about this being an evaluation tool a lot. And right now it is not typically used as an evaluation tool. but we actually have a different project where we are working on an educator assessment, which we could probably tell you more about. But really, it's just designed to, build your knowledge in the areas of the academy, college access information, and is not typically used as an evaluation tool at this time, just to answer your question, Tyler.
Thank you. And don't feel like you need to answer all of those questions in the closing activity. We just kind of wanted to get a feel of what are some additional information that you may want from us? What did you find helpful, and how we can further be supportive? And if you have any additional questions for Laura or myself, this is our information again, and you can feel free to message us at any time or message Ginny and she can relay that to us. We just want to be able to answer any additional questions that you guys may have.
Robin, I see your question about logging in. So I think it was at the top of the chat, but we gave you access to TexasOnCourse.org, and you're going to go to the Academy, and then you will register. And I believe there's an email like authentication step where you have to activate a link, and then you'll have access to those tools. Yes. So registration, yes, that's and I believe we sent that out via email, but we'll include it in our follow-up as well. Yes. So we actually don't have those professional learning plans in our state, but I have a certification in another state. So it's called just, of course, a different acronym. So yes, if you, and I think it also will help that, Jenny mentioned that you can do 15 modules for a professional development hour, however that works. Here in Texas, our module completion does count for certification renewal. I should say that. So we have our own, like the Texas Education Agency has approved our modules for certification renewal, if that's helpful. And it sounds like that's going to be the same for your state, which is great news.
Thank you all for coming today.